Okay, and we're live. Great, here we are. Repossible Podcast, Bradley Charbonneau here together with Janet Margot today.
Hello.
We are, hi. It is Wednesday, day like 1.5 of this conference. Well, I guess 2 if you count Monday.
I think it's 2. Let's count Monday.
Vendor conference. And we have 8 minutes here to, I got to say, I am super geeking out about awesome audio equipment. So I'm really curious to see how that works. And on that note, that's exactly what we're going to talk about, the unexpected benefits of an in-person conference. When you're really at a place, what is something that you might have your plans about it, what you're going to get out of it, and then there's the absolutely, by definition, you will not get something out of something that you do not attend. So Janet, you just walked over here and you mentioned something that you said 5 minutes ago. I wouldn't have said this.
Yeah, but. I mean, so an hour ago, to be realistic, an hour ago, I was sitting with an acquaintance, author, sort of friend, and she's like, "Oh, you have to meet this person, you have to meet that person, you have to meet the other person," and I was just thinking, "Gosh, I can't believe the people I'm meeting, the networking I'm doing, and there's just a lot of synchronicity going on. This is fantastic." I'm just sitting there, don't really have a plan for the day. I spoke this morning at a presentation, and I'm a little fried from that. And then you actually came by and said, "Oh, I wanted to pop into Shell's automation session." And I was like, "Hey, why don't I support Shell? She's been so supportive of me."
Yeah.
That really wasn't even on my agenda. And I went into the learning lab where she was doing author automations, and it just blew my mind.
Wow.
Oh my God. So, yeah, I'm still reeling from that, to be honest with you. So that is just amazing. It's unexpected. When you come to these conferences, I think it's really good to put things in your agenda that you want to attend, but also be open to these other spontaneous things that are going to happen.
Look how spontaneous that was. I said, "Oh, I'm coming over here to do this podcast."
Yep.
When you said, "Oh, there's Shells over there automated." Oh, okay.
Yep.
Wow. Bada bing, bada bam, it just happened. Wow, that's really cool. For me, there were some people I really wanted to meet. I wanted to meet Julie Broad. I wanted to hang out with Shell. I wanted to meet some nonfiction folks. I met some I didn't expect, like Suze. And then I heard that presentation from Andrew Davis, a lot about AI, and his just whole presentation style blew me away. And I didn't even know he was on the agenda. And that was a major surprise. I got to talk with him, talked about presentations and being a keynote speaker.
Everybody's raving about him.
Yes. Wow.
I missed it because I was prepping for one of my sessions.
Yeah.
But wow.
Yeah.
I can't wait to review the recording.
Yeah. And thankfully, there's so much content going on here that they're recording. We get to watch those. And I think a little shout out here to Author Nation. We as attendees can watch those later.
Yep.
But I'm curious, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but can people still buy? Do you think they could buy the digital after the fact?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, you know what?
I'm going to think possibly.
Yeah.
Because I think they're not really releasing digital until January anyway.
Okay.
So.
But some of the stuff frankly, if I were listening to this podcast and I just heard you, Janet, talking about Shell's author automation, I'd want to watch it. So we'll talk to Shell.
My mind is completely blown.
Wow.
I took so many notes. I was texting my business partner from the session. We have to just blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it was fantastic. And the other thing too, so I've had 2 speaking sessions so far, and I have a 3rd coming. And I just want to say, the attendees are so great, and even though I'm presenting to them, they are really enriching me with their questions. And I feel like my presentation today, my talk was just so good and so interactive, and part of it is because of the people that attend and the time they take to spend time with me at 8 o'clock in the morning without caffeine and great questions. And I don't know, I'm really high off this conference right now.
Yeah, it has just been the unexpected. But like you say, you got to be open to it.
Yep.
Don't have your rigid schedule. You have every minute planned. Keep some area open for spontaneity.
Also, one other thing I want to note, there are a number of people, faces that I recognize that come here that I don't really see around the conference floor very much. I feel like they're hanging out in their hotel rooms. And full disclosure, I hang out in my hotel room a lot because I do need to decompress and be quiet.
Yeah, it's important.
But then I come out here on the conference floor not knowing a soul, and I'll just hang out and it's uncomfortable, but I'm trying to get comfortable with just kind of being there without an agenda. And that's when I'm meeting new people and randos come up to me and I'm like, oh my God,
Randos.
It's great. Well, it's true.
Yeah.
I don't know who these people are. So I think that's an important thing to coming to a conference. I think it's really cool to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Wow. Good stuff. And also being open for it, being open for anything that might come along. And here, if you know me, you know my mathematical equations that I love so much. So there is a statistical, definite possibility of zero of meeting new people, of having that spontaneous. Thank you. Spontaneous. That's like a Greek philosopher. Oh, good old spontaneous meeting, and I can guarantee you without a shadow of a doubt that the chance of that happening is zero if you don't come.
Yep.
And if you come here, the chance increases to a possibility, but really more a probability.
But also, Author Nation, I think, has set things up. I mean, I wasn't at previous conferences here in this venue before, but the way they've set things up, there's a lot of room, like they've built in that spontaneity. There's lounges here. It's not a stiff environment. It is a really open environment, and I dig that.
Speaking of open environment, we were just talking on the other podcast about how the writers community is like weirdly friendly and weirdly collaborative and cooperative, supportive and inspirational. And there's people making $1 million and people making $0, and we are having a cup of tea together. And the fact that that's okay, and the $1 million person can talk with a $0 person, and there's no judgment, there's no bad feelings. It's all collaborative, and that is odd.
And even for ads, I go, I'm happy to see my number one competitor, and I go and chat with him. It's great.
That is just crazy.
Yeah.
It's craziness. So I'm super thrilled to be here. It is just great. Thank you also to Author Nation for letting us use this fantastic audio equipment. I can't wait to see how much better it is than my usual audio recording. So that's yet another thing that I didn't expect to be doing here, to be doing a podcast here with fantastic audio equipment. Thank you so much. Shout out to Author Nation. And thanks, Janet. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Speaking of spontaneity, I literally called her over and said, hey, Janet, you want to come on my podcast?
And I'm like, my mind is blown. I don't know what I'm going to say. Anyway,
Okay.
Thanks, Bradley.
Signing out from Las Vegas. See you next week. Bye for now.